Well, hello, everybody, and this is Auntie, and I'm happy you're here. We're going to be discussing Arnold, better known for her role on Martin's sitcom as Pam. She apologizes to Ari Lennox for her reverse colorism response. Y'all probably saying, "What are you talking about, Auntie?" Well, we're going to talk about it. Let's do it. Shall we? Oh, yes, we shall.
A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers, and my nieces and nephews, and all the y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for Auntie's advice. Sweet old auntie. It's time for Auntie's advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for Auntie's advice.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And again, this is Auntie. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you all so much for hitting that subscribe button and joining this family. To all my nieces, nephews, and my members who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you all so much for your continued support. So, Auntie, what's going on between Tichina and Ari? Let's talk about it, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you know who these players are. Of course, we all know who Tichina Arnold is. She was in the Martin sitcom, and she was a character. She has a long resume. Um, let me see if I can pull up her resume just really, really quick, right? Okay. Hold on, y'all. I want to give her resume to y'all, okay? Let's talk about her resume for a while. So, Tichina is an American actress, singer, and comedian. She is best known for playing strong, outspoken Black woman in some of the most iconic Black sitcoms in the last 30 years. Most people know her from being on the Martin Show from 1992 to 1997. She played the role of Pam Jones. She was smart. She was sharp tongued. She was confident. And she didn't play with Martin, dragging her. Half the time when he would drag her, she would end up dragging him. Her character became legendary for verbally demolishing Martin on his own show, okay? And that was done on a regular basis. We also know that when she was on the Martin show, she was not, and I mean not scared of child, what was Shanae? Anytime Shanae will come out the box, there was Pam, okay? Pam was ready to rock and roll with her in the halls of the Martin show. Now we do remember her from that, right? Okay, let me give you all some more of her accolades. She also played the mom, okay, Miss Rochelle Clark, in Everybody Hates Chris. She played that from 2005 to 2009. She was the no nonsense mom. Like she was just all that, okay? So we loved her in that. She also starred as a singer, an original member of the R&B group The Sequence, one of the first time female hip hop groups signed to Sugar Hill Records. Okay, and so we loved her. So, like I said, she was an all the way around girl. She was in sitcoms, dramas, films, voice acting, reality competitions known, and she was known for a mean grit. Okay, She had great comedic timing, especially when it came down to her being on those shows that I've already mentioned. And we loved her. Okay. Now, I want to give you a background on Ari Lennox. Okay, so let me find it because I know I have my notes in here. So Ari Lennox, okay, is let's see. She is an American R&B and neo soul singer, best known for her soulful voice, emotionally honest lyrics, and her role as the first woman signed to Dreamville Records, a label founded by J. Cole. She her real name is Courtney Salter. She's from DC. She's a homegirl, R&B neo soul. She had a breakout project called Shea Butter in 2019, critically acclaimed, celebrated by centering Black women's softness, vulnerability, and desire. She has an artistic identity. She's emotionally open and introspective. And she often would, her songs are often about love and outbreaks, self worth, and insecurity, healing. She is also known for being very outspoken publicly about colorism, texturism, beauty standards, how darker skinned women are treated in the music industry. Her comments sometimes spark strong debate, especially when it's online. And she often incorporates her personal experience, which some people deeply relate to, while other people think that she need to go somewhere and sit down. Okay, her name comes up in the colorism field or discussion because she is frequently referenced in her conversation. She talks about how dark-skinned women are perceived, who is allowed to be soft, feminine, or romantic in media, and how beauty standards affect mental health. Now, back in August, I believe, of last year, she was being interviewed, I believe it was, y'all. And she had did a Instagram interview, right? And in an interview, she had discussed, let me see if I can bring it up. I want to make sure I bring it up for y'all. She had discussed that there was something about Martin that she did not like that rubbed her the wrong way. So I'm going to play that for y'all real quick. I'm going to share my screen. And the picture will be there, Deirdre. Hi, baby. So you'll see her in the picture. Okay. So let me share my screen and I'm going to allow you. So we're going to listen to what she said, okay, about this, and then we're going to talk about what's happening now. Okay, so this is Ari here. Of course, this is Pam, and that's Martin. And let's see what she had to say
Thing that pissed me
about
off
Martin
about
and
Martin is
colorism.
how much he would go on Pam. Like I know, like and this is coming from a girl who I love me a good like joking ass movie, and it even when the joking movie is like damn, like that was fucked up. Like I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like I'm honestly not I'm problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like, I don't know, it's like Pam was so fucking beautiful and so fine. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, like I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed. You know what I'm saying? Like of just like always going on Pam, always like that's all I remember.
But we got to, and what I remember, I'm going to let her finish her statement, but I remember is that Pam would show enough go toe to toe with Martin. Toe to toe with Martin, and most of the time she outwitted him. Okay, and dragged him in the jokes. But okay, let's continue, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall.
And I didn't like that. But like, so I feel conflicted because while I feel like the show is incredible and I feel like Martin is a legendary show, and all of the actors and Tommy and like everybody, like legendary, amazing. Like I adore them all. Like you have no idea. And I adore Martin. Like I adore him. It just would piss me off. Like the joking on Pam. I just didn't like that, you know? Like I'll always kind of feel a way about that. I think that pissed me.
Okay. So as you all can see, she's saying that, she believes that Martin was basically, in my opinion, colorist. She did not like how he went in on Pam. Well, Pam had an interview. Okay. Later on down the line, she ended up doing an interview. And part of one of the questions that was asked, she did the interview with, let me make sure I get it together. She was on a show by Dion Coles called Funny Knowing You. And it came up during that interview about, how Pam felt about it, about Ari making the complex, about her making that, right? So, she said the thing that pissed her off was about how much he was going in on Pam. And this is coming from a girl who loves a movie. And when a joking movie is like, damn, that was effed up, there's some things she said that she drew the line with, right? Alluding to colorism being the root, right? Okay, and that's per complex. She said Pam was so effing beautiful and so fine, and I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam. Fast forward 6 months later, Tichina Arnold went on to this guy's show, Dion Cole. And she said that she's so Martin so Pam said, after Pam got this back, he brought up the comment in his interview with her. And during the interview, Pam was like, I understand, what she's saying, whoop de whoop de whoop, right? But Pam had this to say during that interview. She said, I understood what she was saying. Um, she said, Pam said, this is the backstory. So Pam said that originally the role that she was playing in the Martin show, right, was set up for a heavyset character. The girl was supposed to be heavyset, but Pam got the role. And she said, so all of the jokes that she was presented with during her audition were fat jokes. And so they ended up, according to Pam, they ended up having to change all of it because Pam was in great shape. Y'all know Pam had the bomb shape and all of that kind of stuff. She said, so what happened was that they ended up changing the jokes. But she says, when I tell you, if you were around during the Martin days and on the set, all the really funny stuff happened when those cameras weren't rolling. She continued saying how her castmates would compete to crack the best jokes with each other. She said anything that he and that Martin and her did off the set, it would be in the script. So she said all of the jokes and stuff was out of love, and that's when we did it. She said it had nothing to do with my color shade, or anything else. And as you all know, growing up back in those days and stuff, we didn't have a lot of black shows. The black shows was coming out and stuff like that. And like I loved it. Like I would not miss an episode of it. And matter of fact, I used to have a VH tape with all of it, but you can't play that stuff anymore. But I used to have a tape with a whole bunch of the Martin things on. Right at that time, we was taping them on big old boxes. But anyway, I digress. And so, Pam went on to say The jokes that her and Martin had written, or whomever, was never from a place of malice. She said it was written based on who's got the best jokes. And she said while she understands Ari and how she felt, she said it wasn't meant that way. And she said, so maybe Ari, you need to talk to your friends and the people that you were around during that time who made you feel that way. Somebody may have done or said something to you which allowed you to look at things a little differently and not receive them in the spirit in which they was given. Then Pam went on, okay, Tichina Arnold. I don't know why I'm calling her Pam, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Then Tichina Arnold went on to say that, when they would do like the little live filming and stuff like that, a lot of the people who were in the cast hated, um, oh my God, God, what is her name? Y'all know her name? Oh, I can't think of her daggone name. Gina. Let's just say Gina. Because I can't think of her name. If y'all can remember it, put it downtown in the chat. She said that a lot of girls and a lot of the audience members and stuff did not like Gina because of her light skin, which is what Tashina basically referenced to as reverse colorism. Yes, Tisha Arnold. Thank you, y'all. Thank y'all. She said it was reverse colorism, basically, or you could see it that way because the girls, when she would come out, they would say things about her and all of that kind of stuff, right? And that this really wasn't about Pam. She was never the one who was being attacked. It was Tashina, I mean, it was Tisha, and she was saying that it was mainly because people did not, right, did not want Martin to have a girlfriend. Well, since then, honey, Tichina Arnold has stepped out on the gram and she is now apologizing for that. And so I'm going to bring that up on the screen so we can talk about that real quick and you all can see where this is going and where this is coming from. So if you just hold on for 1 second, I'm going to bring this up. Hold on. And this is coming from Tichina Arnold's Instagram page. So hold on 1 second while I bring this up. Okay. Wait a minute, y'all. I don't have no Facebook account. Wait a minute, hold on. Let's see if it let me bring it up. Nope, it's telling me to get a daggone account. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute, because I know I looked at it earlier. Hold on. Let's see if it let me in. Let's see if it let me in. Nope, it's saying no, girl. You need to log on. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else because I know I just watched it. Maybe I will have to bring it up on the TikTok. Okay, so hold on for a second because she did issue an apology. Hold on. Be patient with me. I want to get her apology. Let's see. And I know I looked at it somewhere because, okay, so is this it? Let's see if this is it. No, this is somebody talking, so hold on. Be patient with me, y'all. Okay, where is it at? Hold on. Just 1 second, y'all. I'm coming. I promise y'all I'm coming. But it seemed like you want me to log in, and I'm not logging in because I don't have an account on purpose. He would do this to me. But I'm going to get it to y'all. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Me find it. Isn't this something? Hold on, y'all. Let's see. I just had it up on something else. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so this is going to let me look at it. I hope. And it does not ask me to log in to Facebook. Let's see. I want y'all to see her apology. Okay, so let's see if it played. Hopefully y'all can see it. Let me come back to StreamYard. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see it. Okay, hold on. No. Ah. Okay, so it's letting me look at it now. Is it going to let me go back? Oh my God. So let's see. Oh my God. I hate that. I had everything queued up and now it is telling me it ain't going to let me look at it. That's funny. She wasn't even born when Martin was. Now that's funny. Hold on. Let me see if it let me bring it up. Hold on. Why it does this to me, I don't know. Um, I guess they all want you on their programs, but I don't want to be on every apparatus. So let's see. Y'all fingers crossed. Let's try one more time. Let's try one more time. Let's try one more time. Nope, here we go. What is going on? Oh, Oh my God. Hold on, y'all. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Let's try it again. Y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for your auntie, okay? Because I'm going to share this. It is just abs.
All about reverse colorism. I was speaking too fast, just speaking from experience, but I never ever want to insult anyone for no reason. And I misspoke. I spoke too soon. I asked my sons, my TV sons, how they felt about it, and they corrected me. So I stand corrected, and my apologies for anyone who mistook what I said. But it wasn't in the spirit of which I said. I just misspoke.
Yeah, you were speaking to your experience
Yes.
of witnessing prejudice
Yes.
against a lighter skinned person,
Yes.
which is a result of colorism. Because
Yes.
reverse colorism ain't a thing, right? Colorism is the system that benefits lighter skinned people because it's closer to white supremacy. Reverse colorism ain't a thing.
And also, that's something that happens. You were there to personally witness
Right. You were
something
speaking to
happening
your
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
with somebody
Yeah.
that you love, and what you meant was Tisha went through something
Yes.
that
Mhm.
she personally felt, and you witnessed it, and it did
Yes.
happen, and it was based off just her. You felt
Yes.
her
Yeah.
being lighter skinned.
And trust me, I've been through colorism all my
As
life.
we all
So-
We all have.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
misspoke. And sometimes when actors do interviews, we talk, and I got a big mouth.
Yeah.
So I
Like-
say stuff, and it
You know,
just,
see,
yeah.
it's genetics. It's
Yeah.
genetics. We gotta hold their hand.
Okay.
Just walk them through.
But I am never, ever, ever too old to learn.
Yeah.
You ain't
So-
too old.
Also, you know, I
56. I
we
told
do,
y'all.
we do, we do.
But I still look good, so shut
You
up.
still look
Of
good.
course,
Thank
nobody's
you.
debating that.
Thank you. All right, bye.
So I'm hoping that y'all were able to see that. Jesus. Let me explain just really quickly what colorism is, right? Were y'all able to hear that? Yes, Tisha was in the comments and she did give her a shout out. Let me see if it'll let me look at that. Child. I got it open 50 million times because it done rejected me so many times. Tisha said the following. So they're saying that these comments basically, some people were coming back at Tisha for saying what she said. But what she tried to explain was that, she was talking about her personal experience on Martin, particularly during the show's first season, where the in studio audience did not want to see Martin, right, with a girlfriend. And the crowd took out their feelings on Tisha Campbell. And Tisha said, even with Tisha, people don't realize that reverse colorism happens as well. She says she remembers Tisha, she would be crying sometimes. It would be so bad because she said we had a live studio audience and the black girls will come in and they were there for Martin. That Martin, during Def Comedy Jam and stuff. So it was, she said, that kind of crowd that will come to our shows and they would just laugh so hard they would bang on the floor. She added the whole first season, every time Tisha would walk out and hear groans, they wouldn't laugh. They treated her horribly. And so Tisha Campbell came out and said, I love you. Tichina keeps shining tea. I will always have your back. Your heart is pure and your intentions were too. Okay. Now I think that this young lady, as somebody kindly pointed out in the comment section, won't even around. Didn't know what the climate was during this time. Somebody in the comments said she wasn't even born then. So, how's she gonna come out there and talk about colorism and what Martin said? Because she didn't come up in that generation of TV, of seeing people who look like us on television, because there was, years that people like us, they weren't on television and they didn't look like us. I remember watching All in the Family, I think it was, with Archie Bunker, and the things that he would say, and we had the Andy Lewis show and stuff like that. Like, you didn't, like come on now, let's be for real. So this young girl, even though she talks about colorism allegedly, right? This is just her thing. But Martin and Pam roasted each other, and a lot of it was about her looks, her fashion, and her personality. And during that time, the humor was mutual and it was exaggerated. And as we all know, Pam fired back with him, honey, and was equally sharp, and with insults about his height, his ego, and his finances, his ability to even take care of Gina. It was over exaggerated comedy. It was things that people in our community could understand and could relate to. It just was what it was back in the day. Now, I don't know whether or not some of these things will be accepted now, but it was what it was. Same thing with A Different World. Jasmine, I think that's her name. Was light skinned it. What we call back in the day, light skinned it. And the main character was after her. Why couldn't he be after what with one of the other girls? I can't remember the darker skinned girls. It was just what it was, right? Um, at that time period. They roasted each other. They had a competitive banter that was going on. Tommy was the one who was tall and dark skinned, bald headed, and was quite a handsome guy, but he was the guy that didn't have any job. He didn't have a job. Cole. Cole was just, goofy and all around, right? It was just in the 1990s, no excuse being made, just giving you facts. Color-based jokes were very common on sitcoms, especially within black comedy traditions that lean heavily on insult humor. With that being said, some of the jokes feel dated, right? We wouldn't date about that now, and viewers now critique them for reinforcing colorism, even when the intent was comedic and reciprocal, right? I just want to say this. One of the things that Martin joked about with Pam, right, was that he exaggerated Pam's looks, and it was coded language, right? Because he mainly talked about her looking manly, rough, hard, and unfeminine, right? And those could be believed by a lot of people that these descriptors were often read as color coded, even if the skin tone was never named. A lot of people, like Ari, believed it was color coded. Um, so Pam joked about Martin's height, his money, his masculinity, and that Gina was settling for him. Pam and Martin were basically the same tone. But she, Joe, okay, he called her beady head, and she mentioned that. Thank you. And she called him a munchkin. Everyone in the 90s appreciated Pam's beauty and style. Absolutely. And Pam had mentioned that when she was on this interview, saying that she did have a beady head. And she said Martin saw, like the beads on her, the beads on her head. And she said he got her with that. And she said that she didn't know. He caught her off guard with it. She realized that she did have, the little rose and beads in the back, and she should have got it. And so she said, after that, that was just a running joke. It was something Martin would use because it was actually factual for her, right? But she did not. She just was like, "Oh my God, he got me on that." But again, this was a banter between cast members, and it was always a competition on who could Joan the worst. Now y'all know when you know back in the day in the '90s and stuff, that's what we did. We Joaned on you. It was just a thing of the past. It was just how it was. Not to say that it was right. Please don't believe that I'm saying that it was right. I'm just saying it was what it actually was back then. Back then. I don't know whether or not this was about lighter or darker skin between Pam and Gina, because that was never an issue. It wasn't an issue between Pam and Gina about feminine or masculine or being desirable or undesirable. It wasn't even a thing, right? And so I just want to make sure that, I say that. I don't believe that Martin was written to promote skin tone hierarchy. I don't think that he intended to demean Pam because she was a darker skinned woman. And I don't think that she was targeted because of her tone. Her skin tone. Um, it wasn't consistent, and he never really. Everybody got dragged. Like I said, everybody got dragged. Pam got dragged, Martin got dragged, Cole got dragged, and Tommy absolutely got dragged, but you ain't got no job. Pam was never written. Her character was not written as an inferior character to Gina. The two of them worked together. In fact, Pam was often referred to as smarter, sharper, and at every time was always a verbal word. It was every now and then, right, that Martin would get something on her. So let me just say this, right, because I just want to be clear. Um, was the show colorist to me? I grew up in the '90s. I'm a baby from okay, let me just say this. I remember when television wasn't in color. I remember when everybody's kids was an antenna. I remember being the antenna for years. I remember the was it the Star Spangled Banner, y'all, that was on? I remember when television cut off at 11:30. And see I'm talking about PM. So y'all have television at y'all disposal 24 hours a day. We did not. Honey, you was going to bed and your television had a round circle on it that was buzzing the rest of the night. Okay. And then television would come back on at another time, right? I grew up in a total different era than a whole lot of people who follow me. And so any black show, a different world, especially a different world, opened up our eyes to children going to college. It inspired us to go to college, wanting to have that life, living on campus and all that kind of stuff. It was something that changed our lives back in my day. I'm talking about my day, not y'all day, because that y'all day is different. Okay, y'all days was different, and they are different. You have real live people that you can see, right, living a college life. Like, like in our homes, it was expected because we started seeing these things, right? The world opened up to us. And I'm just being for real about where I was, right? Your story isn't my story. My story isn't your story. Let me know what your story is downtown in the comment section. But I'm telling you right now, we did not see this. And the most that we were seeing, Starsky and Hutch, like I said, the Andy Griffin show, like stuff like that. That's what we were looking at. And then came a different world. And then came Martin. And then came the Cosby Show. And we began to see ourselves on television. And we began to imagine living a life that was different. a life of a possibility that, oh my God, you can go to college. Um, like it was an influence on our lives. And we know in our community that there were certain things that we could joan on and we could say amongst each other, and we weren't thinking about no colorism. Like okay, it just was what it was. I do want to be very clear and very fair here. I do not believe, based on looking at these shows, that Martin was a colorist show. And I don't believe that Martin Lawrence was intentionally promoting colorism through the character of Martin Payne. The show was built on rose comedy. Everybody on that show got dragged. Even Bruh Man, okay? Y'all remember Bruh Man from the fifth floor, okay? Bruh Man from the fifth floor. Pam, Martin, Cole, Tommy, won't nobody safe from getting dragged. And importantly, Pam was never written, in my opinion, as someone who was weak, inferior, or undesirable. In fact, she often won, like I said earlier, all the jokes. But we're talking about nuance. So some of the jokes about Pam were appearance based, calling her rough, hard, or manly. Those jokes were not direct references to skin tone, and there is no episode where Martin explicitly insults her for being dark skinned. However, and this is the part that people are debating, modern viewers sometimes interpret those jokes differently because of our cultural language has changed. Today, we talk more about colorism, beauty standards, and how femininity is coded in media. And that conversation simply wasn't happening way back in the 90s when I was growing up as a kid. So when people say that jokes hit different now, that doesn't automatically mean that the show was wrong or malicious. It means we're watching it through a different lens. Re-examining old media is not the same thing as condemning it. So you can hold two truths, right, at the same time. One, Martin was not a colorist show. Two, some jokes feel dated because culture has evolved. So what I don't think is helpful is rewriting history and pretending that the intent was something it clearly wasn't, in my opinion. And I also don't think it's helpful to shut down people who are reacting differently today, right? You see it different in today's. But the real conversation isn't was Martin, you know, cancel worthy. It's why do we remember these jokes the way we do now? That says so much about us and cultural growth as it does about the show. And I just wanted to make sure, okay? I do what I want. 6395 says school days address colorism. Absolutely, she did. Okay. Now Jay Buggins says he called her a Hershey bar. Well, you got to remember in the 1990s, the Hershey bar was not as dark as the one that you get now. So our and I'm just being real. I ain't making excuses, but the tone and color of what you get in a Hershey bar was not the tone and color of a Hershey bar, right? That I ate. Okay, anybody that's around my age, y'all let me know. It used to be a much lighter brown than it is now. It was not dark like that. The only candy bar when I was coming up, right? Because I remember the Snickers first coming out. Okay, now let's okay. The only candy bar that was dark was the peanut chew. It won't the Hershey bar. Unless you remember getting yours dark, I don't. It was a much lighter tone of chocolate. That dark chocolate, y'all. It was a peanut. It was a peanut chew. That was a dark one, right? So if he wanted to drag her about being dark, he could have used a peanut chew, not a Hershey bar. But thank you, boo. Thank you. Um, Chris Owens 9231 said, Auntie, I find it ironic that the same younger people who making what Pam said a thing are the same ones who think it's okay to address each other with the N-word. Now you right about that, because that is a word that I don't use, but this generation, it's in songs, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, it's on social media. They'll use that N-word like it's just a regular old word, right? What are you saying? Oh my god, that did have to do with her skin tone, though. That's my point. What had to do with her skin tone? Let me just keep on going. um None of the jokes were about color. Is comedy lightened up, right? I mean, you would have to, maybe she, I don't know what J Bud, let me look at her picture. So she's young, right? She's not our age, so it's okay, it's okay. I don't want, to judge her or anything, and I don't want to debate, right? Because I grew up in a generation. I grew up with the very original shows, right? And I know what the intent was. And I know that those shows, seeing Martin on television, right, and having a sitcom back in those days, we didn't even have sitcoms. Like y'all got the whole kit and caboodle of television. Back in the day, we did not have that. We did not have it. It won't did. It did not exist. And so when you come in from a total different generation, you only know what it is that you know, right? So I don't want her to feel bad or anything like that. But I don't remember him ever calling her a Hershey's bar. But let me look that up, okay? Let me look that up. Did Martin ever call Pam a Hershey bar? No. Martin never called Pam a Hershey bar on the TV show Martin. In Martin, played by Martin Lawrence, there is no documented episode, script, or clip where Martin Payne calls Pam a Hershey bar. Pam, played by Tichina Arnold, was roasted for many things: her attitude, her outfits being rough or manly, but not with that phrase. So they saying there's no credibility to this. Explicit food skin tone labels like Hershey bars were not said. And like I said, back in the day, it wasn't even a dark candy bar. It says, people swear Martin called Pam a Hershey bar, but that line does not exist in the show. It's a myth that's grown online over time. Yeah, because I don't ever remember. Don't ever remember that. And I don't remember the chocolate. Stand up if y'all my age. I don't ever remember the candy bar being as dark as it is now. Okay. But I mean, it is what it is. It's a myth, right? You can't, people will come up with anything, right? But based on the research from AI, let me ask them to double check it. Please double check this. Please double check this information for accuracy. There is no record in scripts, transcripts, or reputable reports that Martin ever called Pam a Hershey bar. Why do people make stuff up? It's like it's unbelievable. They said that this was done on a show called Frasier. Oh my God. According to it, it says the seal who came to dinner, Frasier transcripts. In the Fraser transcript results you may have seen, it said, "You're not going to get her with a kind smile and a Hershey bar. It is from a completely different, entirely different show called Frasier. It is not spoken about Pamela Martin in any verified clips. Multiple discussions about Martin's humor, including commentary and opinion pieces mention jokes about Pam look as roughness, but it never included a Hershey bar." Like, I don't understand that, how I don't understand how stuff like that gets out like that. They're saying that this was actually said in Frasier. Okay, but I grew up watching the original. If you watching it and you anywhere past my age, okay, you in your 40s, you ain't never seen the original. You like what? So why people create those myths and run with that stuff is unbelievable to me. It's like diabolical that that is what people are being told and what they're hearing. It's just absolutely, it's so unfair to the artist, and it's unfair to let me see. I wonder if people know why Martin even went off the air. I wonder what people are saying about that. I truly do wonder what people were saying about that. Yeah, it was there from 1992 to 1997. Okay. Uh Let me see. Hmm. So as you all can see from this, hold on, let me show. Okay. Just to put proof to the pudding. Cause y'all know I like to proof proof to the pudding. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all if it comes up. Where is it? Let me see. Let me see. Hold on. I want to show y'all something real quick. Okay. Let me show. Okay. 1 second. Give me 1 second. If Martin called Pam, let's just say the lie is real, right? And Martin called Pam a Hershey bar. This was the color of them. This is how like they were. They were different in shade, color, texture, or anything in the 90s. The candy bar that you all eat now is one that has changed in tone over time, tone and texture. So if he'd call her that, he wasn't calling her dark skin, because back in the day when we was eating authentic Hershey bars, they weren't dark. They weren't dark. They just weren't dark. So to be called a Hershey bar back in the day wasn't an insult. It wasn't somebody saying you was black and dark and chocolate, because the only dark chocolate bar that was out there again was peanut chews, and they still dark. Let me see if I can find the peanut chews. That would have been an insult that she was blackety black black black. But let's just make sure that here on Auntie's advice that we dispel the lies, right? So let me see if I can get a color of the peanut chews. That's what was dark. Let's see if it can bring me out one. That's got the thing. Here we go. Here we go. Let me show y'all this. Let me just show y'all. Let me share it. Let me let you see the contrast. Because sometimes you just got to attack a lie right up front, right? Or like not a lie, yeah, a untruth. Let me just say that, because I don't, I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm just making sure that we know what we're talking about. Okay, so if he wanted to make fun of her skin and call her a blackety black, or disparage her based on color, these were peanut chews. That's black, not a Hershey's bar. This would have been an insult. That's an insult. That's not a Hershey's. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all see the contrast? You see the difference? They were totally different in shade, and they still are. Okay? So I think that, I don't know what that's about. I'm glad that Tichina, went out there and talked about it, had a conversation, let them know right out of her own mouth that the comedy was never about that. Um, yeah. What you saying, baby? Jerome called Gina Mellow Yellow, okay, and called Pam Junk in the Trunk. The show was great. It was. It was. It was. Um, Absolutely. I hear darker skinned people refer to themselves as chocolate all the time. It's just it's just not the truth, right? It's not the truth. And so I just want to make sure that you all had something that you could look at, right, and see the difference. And how it's not offensive, because the chocolate just won't like that. And even now, if you get a Hershey bar, it's not as dark as a peanut chew. A peanut chew would be something that would be, and that's been out for years, right? Because the peanut chew was out before even the Hershey bar. But if you didn't grow up in that day, right? Let me make sure. Let me verify that, because I'm more than sure that's was okay, was the peanut chew created before the Hershey's bar? Yes, absolutely. The Hershey bar was introduced in 1900, and the peanut chew was introduced in 1917. and they were all out when I was born because I wasn't born in the 70s. Okay. Both were already long established in the 1990s. If you wanted dark chocolate, you got peanut chews. Okay. So the next time that someone says, something like that to you or whatever, because Chat GPT and my other AI, Chat AI, are both saying, Auntie, it's not true. That wasn't there, right? I checked two different sources that it's never been in the script anywhere. It can't be found anywhere. So, I could buy a peanut chew in the 80s for 5 cents. Absolutely. And we liked it, right? We liked you said co-pilot too. Thank you. You looked it up too. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to take the time, right? You got to take the time to do the research, and sometimes it's just worth it to just do the research and find out whether or not something is true or not. And thank God to AI for AI and AI bases and AI platforms and stuff like that, because we would have back in the days when I was coming up. We would have had to go and look through an encyclopedia to find that information. And your generation is right at your fingertips, right? So y'all let me know what y'all think about this, downtown in the comments section. Again, I don't believe that that was the premise of the show, because as Pam said, she was not even written into the show. It was no pre jokes that were already written down, right? For Martin to be in an argument with Pam, who was a brown skinned woman. It, as Tichina Arnold said, the original cast, it was supposed to be originally casted as a heavyset woman. And she said that they had to totally rewrite it because it was not geared for a black woman. So if it was geared to be colorist, right, and he wanted to um 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 recruit a dark skinned woman to tear her down and to make her feel bad about her color, then that would have already been pre-written into all of the scripts. For Tichina to say it was for a heavyset woman, they have many, many, many fat jokes already ready for her, for that character, and they had to rewrite it, means that there was no intention, in my humble opinion, of this show ever being about color. I think we were all just happy to see it. So anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. What are you saying, baby? Being called a Hershey bar isn't the worst. I was given the skin tone example from the show I did watch. I did watch it last week. I don't care. Okay, yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Just make sure you give us the episode at the exact time. You can put that in the comment section, and we'll go back and we'll have a comment about what it is that you saw. Um Thank you for letting me always be a part of your lives. You're so welcome, boo. J bugging. Child, let me tell you, it's always somebody, okay? I love y'all. Y'all have a great night on purpose. Bye, y'all.